Okay. Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
So um, we are proceeding towards winding up unit number 1. Maybe by this week or maybe half of the next week we will wind up unit number 1 and we will start unit number 2. So these are some theoretical topics which are mentioned in the syllabus, and today out of the last 5 we'll be able to cover 3, that is synthesis, hierarchical and flag designs, and resource sharing. And as far as the first two are concerned, you will be able to relate easily because we have been synthesizing the different VHDL models, and also because we have discussed about the structural modeling style. um, we have a reference from there for the second topic, that is hierarchical and flat designs. About resource sharing, it will be very interesting, but we'll take it at the end of the session. So can anybody of you tell can anybody tell that ultimately what is synthesis? So all those who have seriously practiced VHDL modeling and synthesized the model and simulated writing a while, after writing a test bench, can anybody tell that what is actually happening in synthesis? Hmm? Because synthesis cannot be done on paper, is it not? It has to be done on a tool. Hmm?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, you can speak, tell. Hmm.
Okay. So basically, synthesis is just simulation. Means we just provide some signals and test that our model is working perfectly or not, according to the waveforms,
Okay.
and giving some inputs.
Okay, so Akshat says that synthesis is basically simulation. Any comments on this definition? Synthesis is basically simulation. Yes, any comments on this statement that synthesis is basically simulation, where we check the functionality of proposed digital system by applying inputs? Yeah, is this understanding correct? If you say that synthesis is basically simulation, then why did we discuss about writing a test bench and simulating it? According to this definition, simulation is something which is done automatically when we do synthesis. So is synthesis same as simulation? If it was so, then why did I tell you that main model is to be synthesized and not simulated, and test bench model is to be simulated and not synthesized? Mina?
Sorry, sir, I got wrong.
No, no, no. You tried. It is good. At least you thought something. That is okay. Okay, no problem. Okay, a good try. So already told that FPGA prototyping it consists of two parts. Hmm? First is writing the VHDL model, that is LS, ED, and AB, which we technically call as main VHDL model. Okay. And we also told that main VHDL model is to be synthesized and okay. And then we have the second step called as writing the test bench, which we discussed last time, and this is known as test bench VHDL model. And we told that this model is to be simulated and not synthesized. So one thing is very clear, that synthesis and simulation are not the same. Okay. And the third step which is involved in FPGA prototyping is known as downloading the programming file. Okay. Downloading the programming file. It is also known by different names. This is also known as bitstream. Okay. So this particular programming file contains programming file, and this programming file contains two things. It contains the programming file contains equivalent of two things. The first thing which it contains is it contains the, or I can say, machine equivalent. Okay, it contains machine equivalent of functionality and pin information, that is from where inputs will come and where outputs will be shown. Okay, so that the programming file, which is also known as bitstream, contains a machine equivalent of two things: the functionality, that is whatever you have written in architecture body, functionality in other words, architecture body, and second is pin information, that is from where the inputs will come and where the outputs will be shown. Okay, so we can clearly say that downloading is on hardware platform. So this is software, test bench is software, and this is hardware. Okay, that's how it is. So we can clearly see that synthesis and simulation are completely two different things. Although synthesis is done on software platform, test benching and simulation is done on software platform, but still they are all different. Now we will see what is the difference. Okay. Now if you remember that this particular concept of synthesis cannot be completely explained just on paper, we have to learn from the tool what actually synthesis means. So now I'm going to write down the definition of synthesis and then we'll appreciate it in ISE how it is done. Okay, so let us see what the standard authors define about the meaning of synthesis. Okay, so I will just write down. Okay, so synthesis is it is an automated process of converting a high level of abstraction into a gate level netlist. I repeat, synthesis is an automated process of converting a high level of abstraction into a gate level netlist. Let us understand what are the different terms here. So when I say high level of abstraction, it is nothing but the HDL model, okay, which can be written either in VHDL language or in Verilog or maybe system Verilog. Okay, so if you use any hardware description language to describe the system, that is called as HDL modeling, which is nothing but higher level of abstraction. Why? Because the whole model is written in an English like language, the normal definition of high level of abstraction. So we have to convert the conversion of high level of abstraction, that is an HDL model, into a gate level netlist. Now in English, netlist means an interconnection. So netlist means interconnection. And when I say gate level, it means basic gates. When I mean basic gates, I mean and, or, and not. So I can say that when Xilinx ISC does synthesis, that means I can very clearly write down that when any synthesis tool does synthesis of HDL model, it basically tells us in the form of RTL schematic. All of you who have used the tool, you always after synthesis click what is called as RTL schematic and technology schematic. So when any synthesis tool does synthesis of an HDL model, it basically tells us in the form of RTL schematic what is the basic gates equivalent of the logic which you have written in architecture body. So all of us know that in the logic section of architecture body, you express the logical relationships between outputs and inputs using different modeling styles. So after synthesis in RTL schematic, we will clearly come to know that whatever logic we have written in architecture body, what is the basic gates equivalent of the logic which you have written. In other words, I can reframe it that synthesis tool tries its best to interpret your VHDL logic as interconnection between basic gates. If the above is not possible, it will interpret your logic in terms of D flip-flops, multiplexers, and combinational logic. It may sometimes interpret in terms of D latch, but this is not desirable. Okay, because latches slow down the system. Okay, now having understood what actually synthesis is, we will go to the tool and I will give a very simple example of what synthesis actually means. So here I am ISC, and intentionally I am going to redo the simplest system which we have done till now, and I will see if I don't have an AND gate. That's good. Okay, so now I go to file, new project, and I will purposefully try to make an AND gate. Okay, Control A, Control C. Next. Okay, here. Now you see here why the Xilinx company, while making its tool, in the second dialog box is asking us that which is the hardware for which you want to do the modeling. Okay, as I told you here that the third step in our FPGA prototyping is downloading, right? So why the tool is asking that you are going to download the programming file into which hardware, right? Because it will synthesize your VHDL model depending upon what is the hardware intended. Okay, so here it is asking me. Now I say next, I say finish.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, the screen is stuck for me. Is it same for everybody?
I do not know.
Okay,
Others
sir.
can
Now
respond.
the Xilinx IC is open.
Come, okay, fine. So now keeping the tool in the implementation mode in design window, I go to target line, right click. I will say new source and I will say VHDL module. paste, reselect, next, change the architecture name to ARCH, go here, first signal input, second signal input, third signal Y. Okay, and I say in, out, next, finish. Float, delete, and here I go, write down Y is assigned to less dark. Yeah. Go to RTL schematic, block diagram, and get is there, right? So this particular statement written by us in architecture body, Y is assigned A ANDed with B, has been synthesized into this RTL schematic wherein it shows that it is an AND gate. Now what I do is that I change the functionality to OR gate. I say save all, resynthesize. Double click. You got an OR gate. Very good. Now I change the functionality to make it into a NOT gate. So what I will do, I will comment the signal minus minus, and I will simply say Y is not of A. Okay, and maybe I can comment this thing. Okay, save, and syntax error near end. Okay, so fine. I did not put a semicolon here, so okay, synthesize. So now in just two moves, I change the functionality from AND gate to OR gate to NOT gate. Let us see. You see here, NOT gate. You see here, so it is trying to convert my VHDL model into basic gates. Now what I do, I change the functionality to A XOR B, and I comment everything else. And I'll have to also uncomment the signal because XOR is a 2-input system. Resynthesize. RTL schematic. Go inside. As soon as I go inside, I'm able to see that the tool has tried to convert my XOR functionality expressed here into A bar ANDed with B, ORed with A ANDed with B bar. Right? So we are seeing this gate is doing basically A bar B, second is doing AB bar, and this OR gate is doing a ORing between the terms. So basically it has converted XOR into an interconnection between basic gates. That is what I wanted to tell you, that when we wrote A and B in the schematic, you saw a simple AND gate between A and B. And why? When I wrote A or B, it made an OR gate. When I wrote Y is assigned not of A or not of B, it made a NOT gate in the schematic. And as soon as I made it XOR gate, because XOR is not a basic gate, it is an exclusive OR gate. That is why it has actually interpreted that XOR functionality as AND or NOT logic. That is what I meant when I said that that the synthesis tool tries its best to interpret our VHDL logic as interconnection between basic gates. If not possible, it will interpret our logic in terms of D flip-flops or multiplexers. Okay, let us do this also. Okay, for example, if I change the functionality to XNOR, save, resynthesize, and what it will do, you see. So all of you, do you accept that XNOR gate is nothing but an XOR gate followed by NOT gate? Am I right? XNOR gate is XOR followed by NOT gate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let us see what is in the schematic. Go inside. You see here, it has put a NOT gate at the output of my system. If I go inside, it's here like this. You see here. So here it has interpreted. So it has interpreted XNOR as XOR followed by NOT gate, and XOR has been reinterpreted as AND or NOT logic. That is what I told you, that synthesis is an automated process of converting a high level of abstraction into a gate level netlist. Now we will try to justify that how multiplexers are made. So whenever I use if then else clause, it will make into a multiplexer. Okay. Now the signals can remain A and B, and I can just add one more signal and I can make it into a multiplexer. I will say home and control C and control C says okay. So I can just say A and B. So it is not necessary that multiplexer should always have inputs I0 and I1. I can also have A and B. It all depends upon what kind of relationship I express between A, B, S and Y. So instead of writing I0, I1, my multiplexer's inputs I want it to be A and B. And here what I will do, I will simply use the data flow modeling style and will just write down Y is assigned A when S equal to single tick 0, else let us see. Okay. See what it has done? So all of you agree that this functionality is multiplexer functionality? Yes, it is multiplexer functionality. I am telling that when S is equal to 0, send the first input to the output, and when S equal to 1, send the second input to the output. Nothing but multiplexer functionality. And when I wrote this particular logic, it has tried its best to convert it into multiplexer, and we know that this is nothing but a multiplexer. Okay, it is nothing but S bar ANDed with I0 or with S ANDed with I1. In other words, my schematic has clearly shown that when I have written this particular logic, Y is assigned A when select line is single tick 0, else B. So what it has done, it has converted this particular thing as Y is assigned S bar ANDed with A or with S ANDed with B semicolon. This is what it has done from the RTL schematic. Okay, even if I change the logic to something like this, I write process A comma B comma S, I say begin, and I will say if S equal to 0, then same functionality which I express using data flow modeling style using simple Van Hel's construct, I express using behavior modeling style, and this is what the schematic is. Okay, same thing has come. Okay, so no matter what modeling style you use, if your functionality is same, you interpret it like that. Okay, so this is what it is. Fine. So this is how we justify the definition that synthesis is an automated process of converting a high level of abstraction into a gate level netlist. Okay. Now we come to the point why the tool is actually asking us, that which is your target technology here. Okay. And how does it come to know? So somebody may ask a question, sir, how does it pick up the architecture? This is where it picks up the architecture from. So I will show you the process of synthesis afterwards, so you can appreciate it better by first telling you how the tool does it. So I am now flashing to you my Xilinx folder. Okay, so C colon. So this is where my tool has been installed, C colon Xilinx. If I go into Xilinx, I have my 14.7 folder, ISA DS, and when I go into ISA, you see here Spartan 3 ADSP, Spartan 3E, Spartan 6, Zinc. So all these are actually folders which contain the architecture of the device. And if you go inside this, you will come to know that it contains architectures, right? So these are all the BSD files. All these files cumulatively or collectively represent the architecture of Spartan 3E FPGA. So that is why this is the process of synthesis, right? So if I want to explain synthesis in a nutshell, it is like this. Are you able to see this? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. See how it is. Right? So I'll have to hide the bar. So my synthesis tool is in the middle. So synthesis tool is expected to perform synthesis. But how does the tool perform synthesis? By accepting inputs from various sources. The first input to the synthesis tool is design entry. That is our VHDL model or the main model. The second input, so this particular design entry, as we know, can be of 4 types. This is what are the options given when we actually say filed of new project. There are 4 options: HDL, which we select, schematic, edit. Actually, it is EDIF. Okay, it's EDIF. It is EDIF. It is electronic data interchange format. So it's EDIF. The synthesis tool gets the first input from design entry in the form of HDL, schematic, EDIF, NGC, NGO, and the technology library. So technology library is nothing but these folders. So I showed you. So these are the folders. These folders basically get installed whenever you install the tool. So the architectures of all the FPGAs and CPLDs which are manufactured by Xilinx company, their architectures are actually stored in this path C:Xilinx 14.7 ISC DS IS inside. So all these folders contain the architecture. So the architecture of the FPGA which you want to program into an AND gate or a counter, those architectures are picked up from these folders. These folders are actually called as technology library. Okay, so technology library contains architecture. The third input is a user constraints. Now you can tell the tool whether you want to synthesize your model for minimum power or for minimum area. So as we know, in the introductory presentation for the field of VLSI, we told that the field of VLSI has 3 metrics: SAP, that is speed, area, and power. Speed should be as large as possible. The area of the chip should be as small as possible, and power, that is both dissipation and consumption, should be as small as possible. So you can actually tell the tool that you please synthesize my VHDL model for low power or for low area, or you can have balanced approach. That means there is a proper balance between the user contents of speed and area. Okay, I will tell you how you do that. Okay, after this thing. So design entry is the first input, technology library is second input, wherein you tell which family my hardware belongs to. That is, in our case, it is Spartan 3E. The member is actually 3S 250E. Capacity is there 250. Number of pins is 208 and package is PQ. Now, in user content constraints, you have area constraints, timing constraints, power constraints. So SAP, speed, area, power, and balance. These are the 4 different constraints or limitations or bounds you can give to the tool before it performs synthesis. By default, Xilinx ISE is programmed to do balanced kind of synthesis. Okay, and depending upon what is our logic expressed in HDL model, depending upon what hardware we select, that is from the technology library, what are the user constraints, accordingly it will generate an optimized gate level netlist. Okay, so as I told you, gate level netlist means it is basic gates and or not, multiplexers, flip-flops, and latches not preferred. If I write incomplete if then else statements, then it will synthesize into a latch. Fine. This was all about synthesis. Okay. So I will tell you where we can tell the tool about which kind of user constraints you have to use. So in this, I can go to project, and I can go to design goals and strategies. And here you see in design goals and strategies, it is giving me an option here, design goal. balanced, minimum runtime, power timing performance. So timing performance is nothing but speed constraint. Power optimization is power constraint, and balance is the balance one. That means if you want a balance between optimal area and optimal speed, then you can select balance. So by default, the tool is programmed to do balanced kind of synthesis. Okay, so I'll keep it as balance. So this is how. So these are all the advanced features of Xilinx ISE, which at this moment we don't need to really explore. Okay, so even if I select it to power optimization, when I say reset project to defaults, it will become balanced. Okay, it is written the default strategy provides a balanced optimization of performance results versus runtime. Okay, if I say power optimization, this strategy will optimize for power. To optimize your results, please specify an active file in map. Timing performance, this timing performance strategy will try to achieve timing closure while packing registers into the IOBs, that is input output blocks if possible. Use this strategy if in timing closure your design has tight IO timing requirements. If you don't meet timing with this strategy, consider trying Smart Explorer. Okay, these are some suggestions from the tool. Is it clear? So this was all about the synthesis. Okay, so the next agenda is hierarchical and flat designs is very easy. So if I show you the PPT, you will come to know. Okay, so we have in our front a hypothetical system. So it is written here, hierarchy in design is achieved by component creation and component instantiation. So as I told you, this topic is very simple, hierarchical and flat designs, because it has got a direct connection to our third modeling style, that is structural modeling style. If you remember, in structural modeling style, we had the parent entity or the big entity or the top level entity, and we visualize that top level entity as an interconnection between multiple smaller modules. And then we told that this multiple smaller modules can belong to multiple types. That is, if my big design is a combination of multiple instances, two of which belong to the type 1 module, and remaining 3 belong to type 2 module. Okay, so this type 1 and type 2 are called as components or child entities, and the 2 and 3 are called as instances. So my top level entity or parent entity or big entity is now a combination of 2 instances of component 1 and 3 instances of component 2. All these things we have done. So component creation, defining intermediate signals, connecting the component instances, and then component instantiation and port mapping. These are the steps which are followed in structural modeling style. So we see here in front of us, we have one top level entity whose name is A. We can see this A at the top left corner of the block diagram. So A is the top level entity, and we see that it is a combination of different smaller entities. The first entity is G, second is B, third is C, and fourth is F. So the top level entity A is actually an interconnection or combination of four smaller entities G, B, C, and F. Again, we see that the smaller entity B is actually a combination of smaller entities, that is D and E. The smaller entity C is made up of the entity E, and F is independent, right? So we have a hierarchy. At the top of the hierarchy, we have the entity A, and below that we have hierarchy consisting of G, B, C, and F. And then in the third level of hierarchy, we have D and E. Is it okay? So now there are two instances of E, but the first instance composes B and another instance of E composes C. So what, in the right side, I have shown this in the form of a tree. So we see here the leftmost or the topmost entity is A. A is made up of G, C, F, and B. And we see that as per the left block diagram, C is composed of E. So C is composed of E, while the second particular module B is composed of D and E, right? So we have A composed of G, C, F, and B. F doesn't have any subcomponent, but C has one subcomponent E, and B has two subcomponent D and E. So we have two instances of E. One instance is in C and another instance is in B, and combined with D it forms B. This is a very simple example. That is, this kind of hierarchical structure can be very easily realized if you use structure modeling style. That is why I've written that hierarchy in design is achieved by component creation and component instantiation, which is nothing but structure modeling style, also known as top-down design approach. So to give a practical example of this structure, that is A, GC, FB and EDE, we have BCD adder. Very simple example. So in second year of engineering, you have studied this BCD adder, which is nothing but the IC 74LS83. So if you see the data sheet of 74LS83, inside it you see that it is actually a cascading of 4 full adders. So 4 full adders are cascaded together to form a BCD adder. I'm very sorry, I went wrong. BCD adder is a combination of 2 binary adders. Fine. So BCD adder is constructed by combining 2 4-bit binary adders, and it is having a NOR gate and XOR gate also. Got the point? So BCD adder is compared to this particular entity A, that is a top level entity, and then just like we have A composed of G, C, F and B, we have the 3 components. The first component is 4-bit binary adder, the second component is NOT gate, and third is XOR gate. So we can say A is equal to BCD adder, G, we can say G is equal to G doesn't have anything, so we can say G is compared to NOT gate, okay, and F is also compared to XOR gate, right? So A is BCD adder and F and G don't have any more children, so we can say that G and F are NOT gate and XOR gate, while C is composed of E and B is composed of D and E. So there's a more hierarchy here. So we have full adder which is composed of XOR gate, AND gate and OR gate. So it's very relevant. Just like we see that E is used in 2 places. Similarly here we have XOR gate used outside and we have XOR gate used inside. So BCD adder is a combination of 3 components: 4-bit binary adder, NOT gate and XOR gate. 4-bit binary adder in turn is a combination of 4 full adders, and each full adder is in turn a combination of XOR gate, AND gate and OR gate. This is a very simple and practical example of what we call as hierarchical and flat designs. Okay, so now we come to the next topic, that is resource sharing. Okay, see here, I have written a piece of code and you have to tell me what it is. Okay, so consider the following code section: process, parenthesis, that is sensitivity list, cell, comma A, comma B, comma C, comma D. Okay, and here in the logic section I have written if cell equal to 1, then Y should be assigned A plus B. It is not A or B. If it was OR, I would have written Y is assigned A space OR space B semicolon, else Y is assigned C plus D. Okay, so the logic is like this, that I have a system which has 4 inputs which are named as cell A, B, C and D, and it has only one output Y. And in the logic I have written that if a particular select line is equal to 1, then the output is an addition between the inputs A and B. And if that same select line is equal to 0, then the output is an addition between the next 2 inputs C and D. Got the point? So if I want to draw the equivalent hardware, it's very clear, right? So we see here that in this system the output is an addition between A and B if select line is 1, and it is an addition between C and D if the select line is equal to 0. So basically A plus B will be realized by an adder block, C plus D will also be realized using an adder block, and the selection between addition between A and B or C and D will be done by a multiplexer. So basically this piece of code will generate a hardware which will contain 2 adders and 1 multiplexer. Okay, it is like this. Okay, so A plus B will be done by adder 1, C plus D will be done by adder 2, and this selection between the 2 addition will be done by multiplexer. Is it okay? So if this particular explanation has to be put in the form of a schematic, it is like this. Okay, so this particular thing which you are seeing in the bottom right corner is nothing but the schematic which should be generated when I synthesize this code. So here we see, so there is a 2:1 multiplexer, and here we have, so if select line is 0, then C plus D comes out, and if select line is 1 comes out, right? So the addition between A, so A plus B is realized by adder 1, which is shown here. The addition between C and D is done by adder 2, and the selection between the output of these two adders is realized by extracting the output Y from the multiplexer system. Is it okay? Now let us see what is the problem here. So we are very happy that okay, we have interpreted this particular logic as a combination of two adders and one multiplexer. But see what is the problem here. The problem is, if I try to realize this particular hardware consisting of two adders and one multiplexer using CMOS logic, this is what we get. Okay, now please understand this thing, that multiplexer, as I told you, that this particular multiplexer which I showed. Okay, so what is the number of MOSFETs which will be required for realizing this thing? Okay. So S bar will need one NOT gate which needs two MOSFETs. Okay. This is an OR gate which needs 6 MOSFETs. This is an AND gate which needs 6 MOSFETs. Another AND gate which needs 6 MOSFETs. Okay, so basically I need 20 MOSFETs in order to realize a 2:1 mux. Okay, so 20 MOSFETs are needed to realize a mux if you want to implement it using CMOS logic. Okay, A and B are n-bit signals. Let us compute the MOSFET count if CMOS logic is used to realize the adjacent hardware. See now, you should not go into the details. This is all a very long calculation which I have done. You just read what I'm telling you. Okay. So from the previous slide, we came to know that in order to realize the logic which is written in the process here, we need two adders and one multiplexer. And we already deduced that one 2:1 multiplexer needs 20 MOSFETs. Right. So we need two binary adders and a single 2:1 mux for realizing the system. Now single binary adder, that is a 4-bit binary adder, consists of 4 full adders. 1-bit full adder consists of 2 XOR gates, 3 AND gates and 2 OR gates. Okay, so see carefully that we need 2 binary adders and one 2:1 mux. 2 binary adders. One binary adder consists of 4 full adders. 1-bit full adder contains 2 XOR, 3 AND and 2 OR gates. One XOR gate is equal to 22 MOSFETs. How did I calculate this thing? Like this. Why does XOR gate need 22 MOSFETs? Y is equal to A bar ANDed with B, ORed with A and with B bar. Okay. So 6 here, 6 here, 6 here, 2 here and 2 here. Okay. So 22 MOSFETs. So XOR gate needs 22 MOSFETs. Multiplexer needs 20 MOSFETs. Okay, so one XOR needs 22 MOSFETs, one AND 6 MOSFETs and 1 or 6 MOSFETs. Clear? So 1-bit full adder will need 2 XOR. So 22 2s are 44, 3 ANDs. So 6 into 3 18 plus 2 OR gates. So 6 into 12. So 1-bit full adder needs 74 MOSFETs. I need 4 such full adders to make one binary adder. So single binary adder which is equal to 4 full adders will need 296 MOSFETs. Now I need 2 such binary adders in my system. So 2 binary adders will take the MOSFET count to 296 into 2, 592. So now 2 binary adders is equal to 592 MOSFETs and 2:1 mux is 20 MOSFETs. So hence a single mux is 20 MOSFETs. The above hardware will need 592 plus 2612 MOSFETs. So students, this particular hardware consisting of 2 4-bit binary adders and one multiplexer, that is this particular logic, will need 612 MOSFETs. Now let us modify the code so that we can reduce the MOSFET count. So see, now I modify this particular functionality. So functionality remains the same, but I am going to express this in a different way. See, like this. Revise code with the same functionality. What I'm doing is that I am now generating this output Y. I am generating this output Y as a combination of two outputs Y1 and Y2. Okay. So Y1 is assigned A when select line is 1 else C. Y2 is assigned B when select line is 1 else D, and Y is assigned Y1 or plus Y2. Okay. Now it's very, very clear. Now we already showed that what is the schematic generated when I use when else. Is it okay? So in this ISC, we already showed that if I'm using when else construct, it is actually creating a multiplexer. Okay. So this particular statement Y1 is assigned A when cell is equal to 1 else C, which will actually generate multiplexer 1. Y2 is assigned B when select line is 1 else D will generate second multiplexer, and Y is assigned Y1 plus Y2 will generate an adder. So now we have modified our code such that the resulting schematic will contain two multiplexers and one binary adder. Okay. So this particular code generated two binary adders and one multiplexer, but now after rewriting the logic, I've converted my system containing two adders and one multiplexer into two multiplexers and one adder. And let us see what is the saving in the transistor count we get. Okay. So first multiplexer from first statement, second multiplex second statement, and third statement is one adder. So when else and if then else infer multiplexer in hardware. So this is what it is. So now my hardware is getting converted into a combination of two multiplexers and one adder. Let us see what is the count here. Okay. So single binary adder is 296 MOSFETs and two 2:1 multiplexers is 40 MOSFETs. So now instead of my count being 592 MOSFETs, that is 592 MOSFETs correspond to two binary adders and 20 MOSFETs correspond to one multiplexer, now get converted into single binary adder and two muxes. So we have to do 296 plus 2 into 40. Okay. So now my count is 336 MOSFETs and the percentage saving is 612 minus 336 upon 612 comes out to be 45%. You see here, simply by rewriting my code using statements which will infer lesser number of adders and more number of multiplexers, I have reduced the MOSFET count for CMOS logic implementation by not 10 or 15 but by 45%. Okay, just like this. Any doubts in this? So advice is write VHDL models for both versions of the code. So I strongly advise students that if you want to appreciate resource sharing, then please do these things, that you create an IISc project and you write a VHDL model for this particular code, and then you write another IISc project wherein you keep the functionality same, but you write this piece of code. I know that it may appear very easy, but it is actually not easy. You do it, you will have some problems and you can flash them next time. So next lecture, we are going to write the VHDL models for type 1 and for type 2. Okay. Yeah. So today we have covered 3 topics, that is synthesis, and we have actually justified that how synthesis is not same as simulation, because synthesis is done for main VHDL model while simulation is done for test bench VHDL model. So synthesis is meant to tell us that in terms of virtual hardware or in terms of interconnection between basic gates, what our logic written in architecture body boils down to, while simulation is meant to do functional verification of our VHDL model. That is what we told. And then we also told that in FPGA prototyping, we have 3 steps: synthesizing the main VHDL model, which is done on the tool, Then we have simulating the test bench model, which is again done on the tool. And then we have downloading the programming file or bit stream, which we told is a machine equivalent of two things. That is the functionality, which is expressed in architecture body, and the pin information, that is from where the inputs will come into the FPGA and where the outputs are to be shown by the FPGA. And we define synthesis as an automated process of converting a high level of abstraction into a gate level netlist. When I say high level, it means VHDL model or Verilog model or system Verilog model or English like language. And when I say gate level netlist, it means an interconnection between basic gates, that is AND, OR, and NOT. That is why we told that synthesis tool does synthesis of an HDL model, basically tells us in the form of RTL schematic, and it tells us what is the basic gates equivalent of the logic which you have written in architecture body. Synthesis tool tries its best to interpret your VHDL logic as an interconnection between basic gates. If this is not possible, it will try to generate a schematic which is an interconnection between multiplexers, D flip-flops, and other relevant combinational logic. D latches may be inferred if we are using incomplete if then else statements, but they are undesirable because they slow down the system. And then I told you that the technology library is the first input, okay, to the synthesis tool. We told this thing. So synthesis tool takes three inputs, first from the HDL model, second from technology library, and third from user constraints, area, timing, power, and balance. And we can tell the tool which kind of synthesis you want to do based on the constraints, that is area, speed, power, and balance constraints. Design entry can be from 4 sources, and then it will generate an optimized gate level netlist for the hardware which we have defined here in technology library. So we told that technology library is nothing but available in C:, Xilinx 14.7, ISA-DS, ISE. There are dedicated folders for all different logic families inside. Okay. And then we explained with the example of a BCD adder how we can realize a hierarchical system by expressing it as a combination or interconnection between different child modules, which is very classically done using structural modeling style involving component creation, component instantiation, and port mapping. Then we explained resource sharing, wherein we actually justified that we can redesign the code while maintaining the same functionality, and we can actually convert a system which actually needs 2 binary adders and 1 multiplexer into a system which actually has 2 multiplexers and 1 adders, thereby bringing the MOSFET count for CMOS logic realization down from 612 to merely 336. That is a MOSFET count or a transistor count saving of 45%.